boom, 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 boom.
Here's some optimistic news. Our CBS News poll finds that Americans are feeling more hopeful than discouraged as they look ahead to the new year. That's up 10 points from how they felt a year ago. Here's some optimistic news. Our CBS News poll finds that Americans are feeling more hopeful than discouraged as they look ahead to the new year. That's up 10 points from how they felt a year ago.
Wow. I don't know why it went twice. But look, here's Andrew telling us right away he's looking for some good news. Because apparently he didn't like some of the things he found out this last week. Probably with Raskin and so forth, right? Are you there, John? Didn't hear me?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, how you doing, Andrew? So we got to start off really something, good. Get your spirits up.
Definitely good.
Page.
How about a used car dealership?
Yeah. Let's watch this real quick.
Magazines, you've read it in the newspapers. In fact, perhaps you've even seen the owner's picture. Ralph Williams, the owner of Bayshore Chrysler Plymouth, 345 El Camino Real in the city of San Bruno. You notice the big bald-headed son of a bitch? The man that came to San Francisco to offer them more for the dollar they spend. The man that came to San Francisco to rape each and every citizen in the whole San Francisco Bay Area. You don't believe it? Listen to me. I don't lie. Take a fucking car like this. A 1966 Ford, a Country Squire 9-passenger station wagon. Don't worry about the equipment. Imagine all the fun you can have in the back. And while you're doing it, imagine all the money that bald-headed prick Ralph Williams is going to be making on the car he's trying to fuck you out of. Yes, the man that'll take every dime out of the San Francisco Bay Area and spend it on prostitutes, booze, and, of course, crap tables in the city of Las Vegas. I'm sure you've heard about it. So remember this. If you'd like to get fucked and hooked real hard before you buy a car, come down here. Let Ralph Williams do it. Why not? Why not somebody else? Remember our address at 345 El Camino Real in the city of San Bruno. But if you come from Marin County, East Bay Area, or San Jose, your money spends just as well as anybody else's. And when this bald-headed son of a bitch gets a hold of you, you will spend money. Talking about payments, 5 years payments of $100 a month. You can't get even. So shop before you buy. Bayshore Chrysler Plymouth.
I told you would love that, Andrew.
That's California. The one thing I wonder if anybody noticed out there too, it said $1,886 on the windshields, and he said payments of $100, which is $5,000 for that
5 years. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, shoot. And in other news, this this thing you sent me, this is pretty tragic. This is a plane. Where's this plane at?
Okay, this is in South Korea.
Yeah, that was not a good hand.
Only 2 people survived.
So, as you can see, that plane came down. There was no landing gear down, no flaps.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out what happened. Well, in between, I looked up to see what's going on from southern Asia, and they did say that they had seen something, apparently a large bird, fly into one of the engines. They were getting ready to land. They had come like 4.5, 5 hours away.
It shouldn't have any effect on landing gear. It shouldn't have any effect on flaps. And that. They do the reverse thruster thing that slow down. I mean, none of that was deployed. It's just like
the first time they were getting ready to land, it was deployed, including
Oh,
the
what?
flaps down.
Well,
First
what do you
time.
think? He
They
thought they were
they
down
had-
and he forgot.
they were losing power fast. They were losing. That's what the problem was. They were losing power, and they had to fly around and do. They were calling, I guess, a hairpin turn. That they came back to go on the opposite end of the runway, which is you see what came now, and it was just a point of landing gear was not down the second time around. Neither was the flaps down.
Yeah, that something else. That the only thing I can think of is he went back around thinking he still had him down or something, and
That might have been. I mean, it's
anyway,
a panic
yeah,
situation.
that was pretty bad deal there. Wow. So, hey,
What's
I
up,
see Carrie out
AC?
there.
What's up, Carrie?
Yeah, AC Cruz,
Yep.
and of course Andrew. Yeah. All right.
Hey, for some reason I can see tonight who's on there. Robin Spielman. There you go.
Yeah.
Spielman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it now with my glasses on.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So this little other video here is kind of like what was this? Just kind of an improv where they just got together and talk. Well, obviously they geared up for it because they have cameras all over the place where they're sitting here talking. I guess it's a studio or something, somebody's studio. Let me see.
Always said, and I fight everybody on this, impeaching Ray and Garland is the maneuver. Impeaching the guys it's got illicit possession of firearms, photography, and videos on it. It's got a whole list of.
No, say it again.
Okay, this is Kash Patel. He's with, I believe, with Beck, and he's explaining exactly who's been running the country right now and exactly what has been going on. He has the receipts. He's got the names of the people. He knows what's going on. So in other words, he's going to let you know, and you're going to see during this little episode here, they're going to write it up on a chalkboard, people's names that you will probably recognize who have been and are running the country. That alone. One quick thing I want to interject too, for any of you out there who don't know it yet. At 100 years of age, President Jimmy Carter has passed away. So, quick note there. But with this here, this is going to tell you all about, what's going on with this. I'm telling you, I can't wait for Kash to get in charge because we're coming up to some real tough days, folks. We're coming up with the 3rd and then the 6th. So, boom, boom. Find out how smooth things are going to go.
This is a little bit of a long video, but it's kind of an important video. Kind of gives you
very important
an inside view of maybe what Kash is thinking, his thinking process. That kind of lets you kind of in on some of his background and history and how straightforward he is when it comes to how he's going to be dealing with things in the future. So anyway, let me go ahead and start it. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and watch it. And I'd say, listen to it really close.
Show me the connections here on, let's start with the Hunter Biden laptop thing.
Yeah.
How many were involved? How many of these agencies or other arms were involved in that cover-up? And they couldn't have coordinated. Are they just all motivated by the same thing?
So I think I'll disagree with you on that a little bit. I think they all coordinated. You cannot have
deep state
that nature of an investigation. Let's remove Hunter Biden. Let's just say you have a laptop. It's got maybe child pornography on it. It's got maybe illicit financial transactions on it. It's got illicit possession of firearms, photography, and videos on it. It's got a whole list of people on it that are known criminals.
That sounds exactly like the Hunter Biden.
But I've received those as a prosecutor at DOJ, and what we do is we take it to the FBI and we exploit the whole thing immediately. It doesn't take long. It takes a couple days, and then it takes another week or two to ingest the material. And then you put your leads out and say, okay, where are the crimes? Where are we going? Who are we going after? That's just law enforcement 101. That never stops unless someone or group of people tell you, don't exploit the laptop. Don't look for the data. And then when you do find it, just say you found X and not Y. I've never seen a laptop It reminds me of the DNC server hack, if we can go back real quick to that. James Comey, for the first time that I can remember the FBI in U.S. history, had an intrusion of a political party's home network. Intrusion, bored in. And the FBI would go there normally, take the entire server and spend weeks exploiting that thing because it's so big. Comey handed the server off to CrowdStrike. And the CEO of CrowdStrike at that time was this guy, Henry, who used to be James Comey's assistant. Not only that, he gave the private funding contract to CrowdStrike to exploit the DNC server because the fake news and the DOJ and the FBI wanted the narrative out there that Russia did the intrusion. But only 25% of that server has ever been exploited to date because the FBI gave it to CrowdStrike. That cannot happen unless the DNC, the FBI, the DOJ, the media are coming in and saying, we need this to stop. So analogizing that with Hunter Biden, when you look at the reports that have made public about the FBI and what this investigatory stuff.
Did you catch that, John, what he's saying? How about you, William? Yeah,
I did.
Purposely diverted, sounds like to me.
Yeah, what they done is they just tossed the ball around to make it look like something was happening, but it's just like
whoa, we're investigating it. Yeah,
right. This is an active investigation when all actuality it's just it looks like it if you were to to look in to see what's going on, but really there's absolutely no information going anywhere and nobody's doing anything.
Yeah, it's put on.
That was their plan.
Slow mo.
They took into that laptop. You see, they were shut down. You see now whistleblowers coming forward, whether it's the tax angle, which is a whole nother animal, or the criminal probe. You see it went up the chain and people said no. And here's the most glaring thing. Never in my life, as in law enforcement or intel or DOD, when we had a target of investigation and we said, we are going to go interrogate you, were we refused. Not by the target, but by DOJ. The DOJ and FBI shut off the investigatory investigation interview request of Hunter Biden 2 years ago and never allowed it to happen. That cannot happen unless it's coordinated by the deep state.
So is the president running the country? Who's running the country
now?
Yeah.
No, I think it's an extension of the Obama administration. I mean, we'll give you an example of the cyclical nature of the deep state. Susan Rice was in there up until 2 months ago in the White House. Samantha Powers, who USAID, who was one of the individuals that I caught leaking General Flyn's name to the media, is back in power in the White House. Those are just two examples. Jake Sullivan, the current national security advisor to the President of the United States, is the guy that was out there advertising the Alpha Bank server connection that they had bought and paid for to the world as saying, look, we have proof of Donald Trump's a Russian asset. When they were the ones that launched that operation to fund that false narrative. He's at 1600 Pennsylvania. So, in my opinion, that crew of the Clinton-Obama class has been running the democratic institution for a long time, and they're not stopping with Biden. They're smart enough to know they want Biden out, but they haven't figured out yet how to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wondered. I mean, he looked like, what I knew what we had on him because we did an investigation on the impeachment. So that took us to Ukraine.
Right.
That took us to Ukraine. You start looking into Ukraine, you're like, what? Everybody is there. Everybody is there.
Right.
And I thought,
well, I keep saying more is going
they
on
must
there.
be hoping that he's going to die in office or he'll retire, and he's just a shill at this point. He's just do this, do that, do this.
Or Republicans will take the bait and impeach him. And so I've always said, and I fight everybody on this, impeaching Wray and Garland is the maneuver. Impeaching the guys that have created the two-tier system of justice and getting the documentation of their corruption to the American public before the election is the maneuver. Impeaching the two individuals that have violated 6 congressional subpoenas apiece and committed felonies is the maneuver. The political potshot is get Biden, and what you have is the
That guy.
Democrats and the deep state coming in and saying, thank you. We don't want this guy to run. They're not stupid. Saying that about the deep state is dismissive. They're evil, vindictive, and very smart. And so far, we've taken the bait on Capitol Hill.
A lot of the people are not in government anymore. A lot of the people that were at the FBI when you were looking into the Nunes memo or the DOJ, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that's so irritating is people just fill their positions and business as usual keeps going. Who did you see then that were just as integral in going after Donald Trump or just being the agents of the deep state? Who are still in government now that we should be looking at? Like, let's start with the DOJ.
So yeah, great starting point. So,
And what about the ones that have kind of found employment elsewhere? I think he gets to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
My
Russiagate
thing is
was launched in the National Security Division of the Department of Justice, where I used to work, where John Carlin was the head of the NSD, a U.S. Senate confirmed presidential appointment. And Lisa Monaco was head of Homeland Security at the White House at the time. Fast forwarding to today, John Carlin is the PADAG, the Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. Long title, short form, number 3 at DOJ. Lisa Monaco is the Deputy Attorney General, the number 2 at DOJ. That's just DOJ. And you're right, we fired a lot of the FBI guys as a result of the Russiagate and Nunes memo and all that. I mean, that's what it took to remove these people. But if you don't think their proteges aren't in place, just like the DOJ, you're wrong. We just found out about this McGonigal guy, right?
Yep.
Career FBI, head of counter intel, in the bag for Russia. Literally just got convicted of being on Russian payroll. He was the counter intel guy at FBI, one of them, during Russiagate.
I think it was pretty obvious that people like Andrew McCabe were part of the deep state when he was at the FBI. He's gone, but
not really. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Andy McCabe, Deputy Director of the FBI, later Acting Director, who I personally worked with when he was head of the Washington Field Office on terrorism cases, is now a hired shill at CNN in the media. Where's Peter Strzok? CNN. So they get these guys who author the Russiagate criminal conspiracy, channeling the fake news media and putting out a furtherance of that conspiracy. So why they might be out of the FBI. These guys aren't stupid. They're down in the media advancing the next narrative. Former deputy director of and if you're a regular American sitting at home, hasn't been paying attention for a long time. Oh,
yeah, that's a good point. If you're just a regular American not paying attention, which is probably 80% of the population, or at least the adult population.
Dude, do you know how many people I encounter that consider themselves extremely politically educated and also very aware of and awake of government corruption? But when I bring up the Smith Modernization Act, which is pretty much laying the groundwork for infiltration of government agencies and the media to do exactly what Kash Patel is talking about, they have no clue. Zero. No, they go, what is that? I mean, I've got people have large businesses. One of them is a guy that runs my credit card, my debit card scan service. That it's like when you scan your debit card. Well, I have a local guy who runs a company who operates that business, and he's a staunch Trump supporter. He's a very, 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 very intricate guy. Had no idea. I started sending him information about it. It just blew him away, and I said, dude, it's not even that. I mean, it goes. These people, they're in your face with news, but imagine all the ones that are tied in with the music industry. Imagine all the ones that are tied in with the entertainment industry when it comes to movies and television. And that's not an accident. That's all under the guise of the Smith Modernization Act to engineer a society and get people on the side of their narrative. However, they've got to do it. They hit you with news. They hit you with movies. They hit you with music that brings you. So yeah. Yep.
Go back.
Wow.
Obama signed
Deputy
it in,
Director of the FBI. I got to listen to this guy. This guy who, by the way, broke the law during the Hillary Clinton email investigation and unlawfully leaked, as the deputy director of the FBI, information of an investigation to the media.
And then went to go work for the media.
It gets better, though. Yes, he did go to work for the media ultimately. We fired him in the Trump administration, right? We took his pension because that's the penalty. Mm-hmm. He would later go to work for CNN. And do you know what Joe Biden did a couple of months into his tenure as president?
Restored his pension.
Restored his pension.
Yeah.
In full.
Took his pension away.
You can't make this stuff up.
There's no consequences. It's like the lawyer that doctored evidence to get the FISA warrant on Carter Page.
Can you imagine if...
Altered
evidence. The FBI guy, Kevin Kleinsmith.
He's still in.
He is now... I think he's in the private sector.
Okay.
But here's the crazy part. If Akash Patel, a national security lawyer at the DOJ, deleted information that the CIA had given me and said, hey, you, FISA court, secret surveillance guys, all good, nothing to see here, pled guilty to that felony, and the DC bar gave him his bar license back last year.
Oh my gosh.
So he can now practice law again. And do you think that there isn't 10 firms lined up to hire that guy? If he was that devious enough to work with the deep state to do that they're not doing it again?
And Kleinsmith, are we to believe that he just did that because he's like, yeah, I'm just going to get this done? Or was he told to do that?
And I'll connect the dots for you. This is another name, James Baker at the FBI. Not there anymore, but he was the general counsel, the top lawyer at the FBI. In the FISA process, he's the guy that signed the warrant for Comey on Russiagate. Okay? He gets caught having that meeting with Sussman. If you remember, the whole Sussman trial from the John Durham episode where he gets Alpha Bank information brought in by a Democratic operative from a big law firm. Mm-hmm. It's one of the groups you don't have up there. The big law firms are killer, in my opinion, when it comes to Democratic. Perkins Coie and all those guys. Mark Elias, Sussman, these guys all meet with the James Bakers of the world to conjure up a Russian narrative, which he allows to go on his watch. And he permits the information that he knows was false to go up the chain to a FISA court. It gets way worse. I'm just warming up. So we tell him about all this. Chris Wray decides to keep him as deputy director. And then ultimately, we have so much information against James Baker and his fraudulent conduct, he's fired. Do you know where he goes? He gets hired as the deputy general counsel at Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Wray would later form an 80-member task force for election integrity in the run-up to the last election. That task force, and this is public by his own admissions in the documents out of the FBI, met with Twitter and Facebook on a weekly basis to suggest to them what information to put out and not put out. Do you know who was coordinating those weekly meetings? James Baker. And then Elon Musk takes over Twitter and he says, I don't have any of the Democratic institutions working for me at X or Twitter or whatever it's called. And I said, and I literally was able to directly message him in public spaces and say, you have Perkins Coie as your defense lawyers. But let's put that aside for a second. You have James Baker on your payroll as your deputy general counsel who is blocking subpoenaed information to Congress for oversight purposes. He got fired the next week.
Yeah.
This is how deep the deep state is. When you have guys like Elon who are smart as he is and whatever his politics are, they're there. Perkins Coie is right there, the authors of the narrative.
Yeah.
So if I had to ask you, who are the 4 or 5 biggest names that are the ones that if you were in a deep state convention, they'd be the ones going, someday I'm gonna be all right, right up there with them.
Already, or the future that's sort of coming in?
Already. Like who are the ones that are calling each other and saying, you got to get your agency to do this?
Milley at DOD.
Yeah.
That whole place needs a monstrous reorg. Esper was at DOD. Barr, formerly at DOJ. Chris Wray, currently at FBI. Merrick Garland, currently at DOJ.
Merrick Garland, how do these guys sleep at night?
I
Doesn't
know.
care. He's just getting payback for not getting on the Supreme Court.
Yep.
That's all he's doing. Thank you for my singular opportunity. I'll lie to the world and the media will cover for me, and I'll do a 60 Minutes interview. Will say there's not two sets of justice for Democrats and Republicans, and half the world will be like, "Oh, that sounds good," but when you look at the cases, there are. I mean, there's just so many. Esper was at DOD. Paul Nakasone was at NSA. I mean, there's just so. I mean, this thing. That's why it took me like 10 pages to name them all, and that's just the ones that were in the executive branch. We haven't even gotten to the legislative goons or the judges that have rubber stamped the deep state operation.
Okay, so sorry about all the dogs barking in the background. Something's going on outside. But I really I know it was a little long video, but
Has been going
I really
on.
wanted people to actually stop, listen to this, and we get a good idea of how this guy's going to operate. I think this is one of the best things that's ever happened. You know, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I do. It sounds really good on paper.
I know.
I want it to be able to happen. You know, this is the thing. I've got a lot of people who are like, yeah, Trump's going to fix it. Trump's going to fix it. And which I think Trump has all the intentions in the world to fix it, or at least the people that he's going to get on the job. But will they be able to accomplish these goals? Because of the fact that we are in a soft core civil war amongst two different agencies in the government, one trying to fix things and one trying to maintain power.
Yeah. John?
Well, pretty much what you're seeing here is Kash Patel, who's going to be in charge of cleaning this mess up. He's already got a lot of information he needs. There's going to be others, but as you can well see, what's going on so far is he's set and ready to go the minute Donald Trump becomes president, and it's boom. Trump has done a very smart job in delegating, to different people to take care of the matters. It actually, if you want to start to something stupid, but go back to when Biden sold Kamala Harris. I'm making you the border czar. You're to take care of the border. It was all a bunch of BS, but just the point of that person becomes the person on the hook. Kash Patel is the person on the hook right now to clean up this mess, not Donald Trump anymore. And this is, I believe he's going to do it. And there's a lot of other people too that are out there. Tom Homan's going to take care of the problem with the migrants. We just have to worry about getting past this next set of few days, the 3rd and the 6th. Make sure they don't. The Democrats are expecting them to pull some garbage, but hopefully things will straighten out.
Yeah. So looks like you got something for us, William. What you got?
I'll play it, Sam. Matt and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
My wife fixed it. I'm always eating on my live streams about home. People thinking, how's he not fat? Well, trust me, I'm getting there. I've got me some moves going over here. The first 100 days of Trump's the presidency, which is a trial because we're going to be seeing what's going on.
Trial, yeah.
This is where he even said this himself. He's got to really, if he doesn't get any of this done within the first 100 days, then his legacy's screwed. And the thing is like, I think that for him, and what he needs to do is focus on two main things at this point. One of them is the economy, and the other one is the deportation. The corruption is something that needs to be fixed, but it's such a rabbit hole that it would actually, it would suck up or take up all the time necessary to get the other two things done. So, like John says, Kash Patel will be his job when he first opens, walks in the door. All I'm doing is just trying to thinking to my, do I have an answer with no, but he was talking about all of the people that were involved with censorship, narratives, and different things, and we just talked about the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, and this act was signed in 2012, and it was signed into law by Barack Obama. And Barack Obama, by the way, it may not be him personally, but all the people that he tied in through legal means of his administration made it very hard for these people. And I'm on a roll here, so hear me out.
Okay.
There was a court case that was just there was a court case that was just won by. It has to do with the hiring and firing of government employees. It's actually in his favor now. The reason being is because the Bidens set precedent. They took reins when they were installed by nefarious means in 2020, when they fired some very key players in the government that Trump had put in, similar to what Obama had done, where they shouldn't have been able to have been fired. But because of the fact that the court ruled that the president does have the power to hire and fire whoever he wants, this is a big deal. This has got the left really concerned, because now when Trump gets into office, he can do exactly what Biden did. Just like, and I apply this to also the special counsel, special prosecutors, and special things that were never approved, because they did the same thing with Jack Smith. Even their courts that of course were corrupt, but they set precedent by saying, well, no, Jack Smith's fine, he's good, he can stay in and do what he's doing, so fine, okay. Well, so anyway, so this video I'm going to show you is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talking about the Smith-Muntz Act and sort of the situation that we're in at this very moment. Let me get it up, and we'll see if I can get it to play. My signal, we're running off of my
For most of its
here.
life, the CIA was banned from propagandizing Americans. But we learned that they were doing it anyway. So in 1973, during the Church Committee hearings, we learned that the CIA had a program called Operation Mockingbird, where they had at least 400 members, leading members of the United States Press Corps, and the New York Times, the Washington Post, ABC, CBS, NBC, etc., who were secretly working for the agency and steering news coverage to support CIA priorities. And they agreed at that time to disband Operation Mockingbird in '73. But there's indications they didn't do that. And the CIA today is the biggest funder of journalism around the world. The biggest funder is through USAID. The United States funds journalism in almost every country in the world. It owns newspapers. It has journalists on it, thousands and thousands of journalists on its payroll. They're not supposed to be doing that in the United States, but in 2016, President Obama changed the law to make it legal now.
It was 2012. I think he's got his timeline wrong, but he's still on point with the rest of this.
For the CIA to propagandize Americans. And I think, we can't look at the Ukraine war and how that was, how the narrative has been formed in the minds of Americans, and say that the CIA had nothing to do with that.
Right. And so we just heard that there was very, very key players in Twitter. And the only reason why we know about it being in Twitter is because of like people like when Twitter got bought out. But there's a lot of key players in Facebook that we don't even know about, because that I would have to say, in my honest opinion, I think Facebook was created by the three-letter agencies in general that issues Mark Zuckerberg as a brand or a face. I just don't see, almost like Bill Gates. I say, Bill Gates was the, he's the creator of the Microsoft operating system. Because, by the way, not to be a nerd, but all your computers that aren't Apple, and then you have Windows and all these fancy programs, they all have to run off a thing called Microsoft Disk Operating System, MS-DOS.
Right.
And and by the way, that actually, if you ask me, and even if Bill Gates was the guy that come up with this, he stole 90% of the operating system that was invented by some of the people that were really unnamed at this point. But there was a system called MBasic, which computers ran off of before there was an MS-DOS, like DOS. Commodores, different. Yeah. And so anyway, so DOS is, and it's, what's funny is Microsoft Disk Operating System can't operate without MBasic. You can go right now on your computer and dig into the hard drive and go all the way back, and actually to its core operating system of MBasic and program in MBasic, just like you're on a Commodore 64. Without that, MS-DOS doesn't run. Without MS-DOS, your Windows run. But what I'm getting at is 90% of these people.
There was part of the argument to that, though, is some of the stuff became what was considered common operating language, and it was before the days when
Well,
everybody would
that,
copyright everything. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
well, that exactly.
So
Well, so but but so what I'm getting at is people like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. Bill Gates didn't come up with shit. He didn't do anything. If you ask me, I think he had some ideas, but he pretty much there's no way that he did all this stuff. He's not that smart. You can tell. The only thing this guy is good at is just being just a dirtbag. His dad had a lot of money because he was eugenics. This was a thing. I don't know the exact details of his dad specifically, but I knew that he was involved in stuff like that, which means that he was tied in with some really dark people and knew that his legacy needed to carry on and knew that his time was only limited. So we had to move. We had to transition my son into this kind of organization, but Mark Zuckerberg isn't that smart. Okay, so he came up with Facebook, right? Supposedly,
yeah,
Mark
he
Zuckerberg.
stole everything too. I mean, if you actually go back
Well,
to the story of how it came about,
right,
he
from
literally
MySpace,
stole it.
which was
Yeah.
which MySpace was a real thing. That was just a thing that some people did put together in a college dorm. It was kind of right at the precipice or beginning of internet, because internet wasn't a thing. Used to, before internet, I'm just, we're off subject a little bit, but I'm just trying to get people to understand the playing field of how the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act plays into the actual internet more than it does. Yes, CNN has always been a propaganda wing. So is MSNBC, some is NBC. But when it came to the internet, there was a whole new realm because they understood. I think that people knew that, this would be the next big thing. So they had to grab the reins really fast, and they needed certain, tools to do that. But before there was the actual internet, you used to have a guy that had a computer in his house that he built himself. You would dial up a dial-up network, and that thing would pick it up, and you had the ability for multiple phone lines to call in, just like a business. And then you could call it a bulletin board service, and that all fizzled out when the internet came in. But the problem, the bulletin board service though was controlled by a dude in his house. It wasn't controlled by big corporations and big organizations that could. Just like Elon Musk talking about centralizing things is a bad idea. At one point, the internet was all broke up to bulletin board services amongst people that was in your neighborhood. You probably knew the guy at the food line, your Walmart. And
it's hooked up to
what
a
that
local
done is
number and stuff. Yeah, I remember.
right. And what that did was it provided sort of a decentralization, which meant that you could get different forms of information. You had different chat groups of people that used to join in these things. Well, when they decentralized the internet, or I'm sorry, when they centralized the internet, and that's when things started getting out of hand. They understood that if they had the internet just as one big, like one big room and one person that flips the light switch on and off in that room, that they could really, really, really clamp down on things. And they had to fine tune this. And then here comes Obama in 2012 that signs this into law. And what that did is it just it gave legal pathway. It gave the green light for all the people watching to say, okay, good. Now it's time for us to move. And it was really hard to do before then. They used to, for them to accomplish their Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, where they could propagandize the United States citizens, they had to do it in all kind of ways. They had to hire people in the music industry, what they still do. They haven't got rid of that, but they just gained another function. But they gained another function. they gained the function
as
of
the internet
but
has gone global, they still retain area or location, even though you can access stuff from anywhere in the world. You also get priority in your region. So I'm searching for something. More than likely, results will only come up in my region versus maybe down at John's area. And then of course they allow certain restrictions, like down John's area. There's a lot of things that he cannot access. So it's even though it's global, there's still has its sections that are kind of
it's global, but the internet's operating system is much like Microsoft DOS or Windows. Well, DOS, it actually has a core operating system, and what it does is that actually flips the levers for all the surrounding programs. So just imagine the internet being global and sort of different in places, but in all actuality, it's all going into one big,
it's all being
huge
run
box.
from one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you know, you see 10 people in a
Yeah, but
room
so
to actually
what we're
disseminate
dealing
information.
with is, yeah, we're dealing with redundancy, and everything's mirrored now. So that if
Mhm.
something changes in Asia on the internet, the servers over here, United States update, to match
Yeah.
the information. So
And then
yeah,
also
but
then now you've got AI that's been programmed
yeah,
to
yeah,
to
don't get
actually
me
kind
started
of
with that.
like, just yeah, and but so that we've got a lot of work to do as content creators to keep ahead of all this. That's our job. Um, I just it's overwhelming because I had a lot of people say, "Oh man, well we got Trump in, now we can fall back," and I'm like, "Ooh, buddy." I think now this time was where the actual content creators double. And if you noticed, I've been putting out a lot more content because it's time to do that. We got Trump in here, but it's not time. There's no time to sit back now because now the mainstream media actually probably counted on that. Like, okay, good, we'll get Trump in there. A lot of these independent content creators that have been doing this to try to get Trump in, now they're going to fall back. They're going to get back in their comfort zone. And that means that we can, maybe we'll get our viewerships back, which has not been the case. But we've got to be there to counteract what our Congress and different things are so concerned about what the media is going to say. This is Matt and I were talking about this last night, that Trump needs to shut down immigration altogether for a year or two. No illegal, no illegal, no legal immigration. Just shut it all down for a year or two. And the reason why is because right now we don't understand. It's been the waters have been muddied so much that we need time to kind of figure stuff out. And then that's really what needs to happen. And then if that does happen, which it won't, but if it did, the media would come in there and say we're xenophobic, we're racist, and then the Congress people would be, oh my gosh, nobody likes us, and we want to be popular, so let's do something about this. But in all actuality, no, just double down.
Yeah,
I don't know. But my main concern is can that's the thing. There's a lot of really good things on the table. I think Trump's got the best of intentions, and the other side knows that, and so their job is to put a stop to that. So can Trump do this? Can Kash Patel do this? Can we will Pam Bondi be the dedicated person to actually? Well, we're not asking for favoritism in law. We're not asking for anybody to go after people that didn't do anything wrong. We want to go after people who really did something wrong. Will she apply that law?
Oh, I assumed you were in this mode. I just had to get your attention. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. We kind of went a little over on our time, but and I appreciate.
Do I have an hour?
No, we don't have an hour. We started as a half hour thing because it is on Sunday, so I gotta head out of here. So I tried to make it late enough. Now John is down there falling asleep.
No, I'm not falling asleep. I want to interject to wish everybody out there, including Dave and William, a very, very happy New Year coming up. It's going to be a hell of a lot better than last year has been. I guarantee you that.
It's going to be a great year. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, my apologies. I get to talking, so it's hard for me to stop.
I know, but that's what we love about you, William. So I want to say goodbye to everybody. I can't say. How do you pronounce Mishka?
Mishka.
Yeah.
Fellner. Yeah. That sounds.
I see him all the time, but I thought, oh boy, I hope I don't have to pronounce that.
Is it Mishka, him or her? Please. Is that him or her? I mean, I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I think Mishka is a. I think that's if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's a. Please forgive me, but I believe it's Misha. Is that a female name?
Oh, is that how you pronounce it? Okay,
Misha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
all right, Weld Rider, thanks for stopping by. Who else did? Andrew, of course. Yeah.
Well,
and
may
Robin.
Name, so I messed that all up. I don't know.
Remember me.
All right, well, we're gonna get out of here. God bless you guys. Thank you for stopping by, and we're out of here. All right.
Take it easy. My wife just came in. Love you, sweetheart. All right, Andrew, take it easy.